for our young people in particular, and even us as adults, to develop digital literacy skills is because an employer will pay you more. This particular organisation is called the Foundation for Young Australians, and they looked at early career job ads over the past 3 years to find out what employers were looking for, what they were advertising, what they were asking for as the criteria for someone to be entering into the workforce. And what they came up with was the findings that wages are going to be higher for young job seekers who've got these particular skills, which they call enterprising, and digital literacy is sitting right there amongst it. Now, often some people think that digital literacy is about the critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, but it's more than that. And as you can see in this area here, the demand is on the increase for anyone who has digital literacy skills and capabilities. So that's going to be something that's going to be in place for a very long time. And of course, it's going to grow exponentially as people work more and more in a digitally connected world. So what do we mean by it? What do we actually mean by being digitally literate? And this is where I'm hoping for those who are saying before, I think I am, I'm not sure, or yes, I definitely am. This is your checkpoint. This is kind of your moment of truth to see, well, are you really digitally literate? This looks firstly at the part that we kind of all know about, that you can use your digital tools and systems and apps, but then we step it up a little bit and we say, well, can you do these sorts of things with those devices, with those apps and systems? Can you very accurately transact all these action words? You know, can you identify information that you need? Can you access it easily? Can you then manage it in a way that's easy for you to be able to know where you can come back to if you want to do some further exploration? Can you integrate it into your own understanding of what you may already know? Are you very good at evaluating it? Are you good at knowing what is misinformation, disinformation, and so forth? Do you have a little toolkit that you use or some strategies that you use to do that? And can you analyse that? Can you consider that you've got this story, but then you've got another story about the same topic, but there's a little bit of difference in the content or the information that's there? And then can you synthesise all of that to actually then ultimately make an informed decision that's going to be maybe a lifelong decision that you're making? Then there's also this aspect here, and this is important for people who are entering into work, is your employer's not going to expect you just to regurgitate something that you found in your searches and then just spit it out in a report in exactly the same way. They're really looking for you to be able to be original, to be creative, to be able to generate new knowledge and new information. And to do that, you have to be fully digitally literate to be able to navigate that space, to then have the confidence to know how to construct your new knowledge. Then, of course, there's how you're going to use the different media channels to then express that information or to share that information. And this then ties in with knowing how to communicate well with others. So you have to know your audience, and you have to know where your audience hangs out, what formats they're interested in receiving information. It might be they're interested in only receiving it via video, or they could be interested in receiving short reports, not a really long information report. So this is really important in what it is to be digitally literate. And then the final thing that you have to do is that you have to be able to reflect on the process. So you don't just do it once, you actually reflect on the whole process, because you're going to be able to get better and better. And as we find information continues to grow, more and more become more and more available, devices change, systems change, you need to be able to reflect on your processes to keep up to speed with that. And the people who are continually in that lifelong learning space are the ones who are going to make a difference when it comes to being someone who's paid more, or who's the person who's finally selected. So really what we're saying is that in all of that, if you see here, technology and use of technology and being able to know how to design, program with technology is only kind of two major top skills that are identified here by the World Economic Forum for the year 2025. There are a lot of other skills, and this is all part of what it means to be digitally literate. that you can be analytical, you can be active in your learning, you know how to problem solve, you know how to ask the right questions, you know how to be a critical thinker. And also you can be creative in the way that you put your information together and you share it in a format that's going to be of use. And also too, in all of this, it's starting to build in skills like resilience and being able to be flexible and respond and adjust. So in summary, I've put here that we really are covering off three things when it comes, particularly for our younger generation. We need them to be engaged in smart learning. And then we also need to have them thinking smarter and then ultimately doing smarter, knowing how to be able to get their message across to an audience that is not going to be misleading, or it's not going to be fake news. It's going to be useful information that someone else is going to benefit from, that it will have an impact for them. So if we look at the 10 jobs of the future, this is where it gets really interesting. And if you look at each of these jobs that have been identified by the World Economic Forum, so that these jobs are in place by 2030, you'll see that they're kind of a mash of different understandings. So for instance, if we look at, say, a data detective, we know what data is. It's a whole lot of information that's out there. And then a detective does investigation. So they're doing analysis of the data. So they're looking for patterns and trends. So we bring them all together. So that type of job, and a number of these jobs might be kind of gig type jobs where the person is taking their skill set to an organisation and contributing to that. Or if the organisation is progressive and forward thinking, they would have some of these people in place as well. So even taking the first one, the work from home, we've probably seen that as a job for now. Post-pandemic or during pandemic, this was what was happening. People were working remotely from home. And even from my own personal experience, I became a work from home facilitator over a decade ago. The technology was there. I had the opportunity. I was tired of living out of a suitcase, traveling around, doing professional learning and development and working with teachers and students, that now I can work remotely because the technology is there. So I'm facilitating learning through a home-based business and a home-based opportunity. And so this is just one way that we can see that now, because we understand what that's all about. Because post-pandemic, we're still seeing some businesses are looking at keeping people at home, but also looking at maybe making shorter working weeks. So they're looking at 4 days rather than 5 days. So all of these things are happening and it's evolving at a rapid rate. I love the fitness commitment counsellor. I think all of us would probably say we need someone to keep us accountable, to make sure that we're keeping our fitness and our diet and our weight under control. But also too, we have the whole digital wearable technology. So this is where the machine learning, artificial intelligence is coming in, but we need the human aspect in all of this. So for each of these, there's the human element, but there's also the machine computer systems and technology that run behind it as well. And that's where we don't want to be dumbing down our thinking. We want to be able to lift our thinking up to be part of that whole process of how we use the technology. And that means our young people need to develop the skills. So that's number 10 there, that human machine team manager, whereby it's the machine will do something, the machine learning with artificial intelligence and algorithms and everything behind it, and then the person who's going to manage the team and the interaction that happens.